Alright, hello everyone. At the end of my last video, I already teasered that I want to play an Autobomber next, and I've decided to play Rutu's Corrupting Fever Autobomber because it seemed to be a more tanky or the tankiest Autobomber that we have available right now, and it's also built that'll only work this way this league, so I've wanted to try it out. At first, I'll explain the general mechanics of how the build works. Then I'll jump just quickly into a map to show what it looks like. And afterwards, I will go over the gear a little, tell you guys what you should look out for, what's important, yeah, and how to play the build, basically. Alright, so first of all, how does it work? We use the skill gem Corrupting Fever. This is a spell for which you spend some life to activate it. So once I press Q, you see I get this icon up here. And what happens is during this effect, whenever we hit an enemy, they get the corrupted blood debuff on them for each time we hit them. Up to 10 times this can stack. So you see I spent almost all my life to activate this. And what we can do is after this skill gem has been activated, we can spend some life to basically keep this skill gem activated, to keep this effect up. And to do this, we have a Bladefall of Trathras, which spends some life every second because we have it linked to a life tap support. So once you see me press Bladefall, you can see that after around 3 seconds, we have spent enough life so that we can keep this buff up indefinitely without having to spend all of our life or press the button every few seconds. A nice side effect of this is because we have blades falling from the sky, these blades can hit enemies and these blades can then actually apply this Corrupting Fever debuff. So when a blade hits an enemy, they get the debuff on them, they will get damage over time, and after a while they will die. And because we have these barracks respite rings, if they're ignited the enemies explode, or if they're shocked the enemies will explode. What happens is once we kill one enemy, hopefully the whole mob pack will explode, and because we have both these effects, these explosions should chain. For everyone who doesn't know, the line here says ignited enemies we kill explode, but these explosions cannot ignite, but they can shock. And we have the other ring which says shocked enemies explode, dealing again their damage as lightning damage this time though, and this damage cannot shock, but it can ignite. And because of that, these explosions can still trigger these explosions and the other way around as well. So let's jump into a map real quick, just to show you what it looks like. We have Corrupting Fever in here for this auto-bombing effect, and we also use Reap or Val Reap for some more single target damage whenever this is needed. You can see I already did a first mistake. I've pressed my buttons in the wrong order. You always want to hit Corrupting Fever first in your map, and because we spend so much life, we want to press Coruscating Elixir afterwards. Yeah, so that chaos damage doesn't bypass our end shield. So I'll just run straight for the boss and shield charge through this map, and we can see what it looks like right now. Yeah, these explosions are Herald of Ash explosions that you can see around. So let's try the map. Yeah, this is usually what the mapping looks like. Sometimes you see that enemies die immediately. Sometimes they might need a second hit from Bladefall. This is something that basically will start to feel better and better the more damage we have. Alright, we are at the map boss. For the map boss, we basically just click Val Reap once and then Reap once or twice, and then we see the boss is dead. And this was the map. So again, mostly it's an Autobomber playstyle. This is something you could even play with controller, because at the beginning of the map, what you have to do is you have to press Corrupting Fever once, you have to press Bladefall once, and you have to press Coruscating Elixir once. As you can see, sometimes it's harder than it looks, because I failed the first time I tried this map, but in general this is the rotation you're going for. Then just one more mechanic. You can see I have one empty flask slot. This is because we use the Brutal Restraint Timeless Jewel. to get the Traitor Keystone, which gives us flasks gain 4 charges per empty flask slot every 5 seconds. And we do this so that we can keep our curse gaining elixir up. Right now, I only have 1 empty flask slot. So what happens here is that this flask can run out after a while. But this is usually not too bad when we are mapping, because we kill enough enemies. However, when we are bossing, we really want to take out the Quicksilver flask as well to get some more flask charges. Again, then we would get 8 flask charges instead of 4, and then we can keep these flasks up indefinitely. Of course, our resistances are kept even without these flasks, just in case they ever run out. Then, yeah, I want to again get a little bit into the gear, and I guess with that we will also get a little bit more into how the build functions. You can see that we have 14 golems right now. We get all of these golems by using the Dark Monarch to double the number of summoned golems that we can have. And we combine this with our Elementalist Ascendancy for +2 golems. And we also get another, where do we have it? Here's the Anima Stone. We also get another golem through the Anima Stone and these Primordial Eminence Jewels with the Primordial tag to get the extra golem. We also get a lot of buff effect for golems. So we get 30% on these, we get some on our Ascendancy, and we also get a lot of buff effect and damage from these Primordial Bond nodes. We have 4 large cluster jewels with these nodes on them, because this node does not only give the increased buff effect, but it also gives 10% increased damage per summoned golem. As I've just said, we have 14 golems, so this is 140% increased damage per node, and we have 4 of these nodes, so that's a lot of damage. And the good thing about these nodes is that it's just generic increased damage. So this scales our Phys dot damage for Corrupting Fever, but it also scales our explosion damage without having to scale elemental damage specifically for that. So this is very, very good for us. So at its core, this is basically a golem stacking build. And then to get some more damage, we of course have plus spell skill or plus skill gem level in general and Phys.multi. So you can see on this one the important mods are Phys.multi, plus level of all physical spell skill gems, and the crafted minions deal increased damage node is also good because we take spiritual aid, so that modifiers to minion damage also affect us. So as you can see, just from basically +1 level here, we also have the plus level on our amulet, as well as life and some res, as well as an empower support and the skin of the lords with +2 to level of socketed gems. With all of these modifiers, we get our corrupting fever to level 30 for it to deal more damage, and also the reap gets the same benefits here. So important modifiers to look out for. Again, +1 level here, Phys.multi, minions to increase damage. And on the amulet, it's just +1 level, and then get life, get res, and we are kind of dex starved, so make sure that you are able to get some dex on your gear as well. Apart from that, our other gear is just energy shield and res. I'm actually very over capped on chaos res, so I wouldn't even. Next, we can take a look at some upgrade paths then. First of all, one upgrade I want to do next is get on the shield the 5% or gain 5% energy shield on block node. This is really good when you have denser maps or when you have delirium or simulacrum on there, just to for your energy shield sustain. Because right now we really only have leech as something we can use there. Then in that regard as well, another upgrade will be getting a high energy shield chest piece. This one, I think it also needs the mod for +1 to level of socketed strength gems, so that we can basically get still another level on the empower and also levels on corrupting fever. But instead of having this chest, which basically, I mean, it gives 100% increased global defenses, but that is really not a lot. Higher energy shield base with like 1000 flat energy shield would be much better than this. Also, just want to mention again this keystone on here. I right now have Wicked Ward on there, which is this one. I only looked for a keystone that doesn't do anything detrimental to us. So when you look for Skin of the Lords to start out, make sure you can't modify the color of the socket. So they have to be 4 red, 1 blue, 1 green. And they can have any random keystone on it. So it could have, for example, CI on it. And if you get a chest with CI on it, then it's unusable for us. You can't use it. You couldn't activate Corrupting Fever if you would have Chaos Inoculation on there. So just something to watch out for. Then another upgrade will be getting the Barracks Respite with both of these modifiers on there. So I actually already have that ring. It'll look like this then. Because right now we use just these 2 rings for budget reasons. You can get the Shock mod and the Ignite mod on this ring, both in one. And what this would do for us is, of course, you would get 1 more ring slot. And in this, we will socket the Lost Unity ring for the Herald of the Hive skill. This skill gives 3% more damage per herald affecting us. So let's say we have 3 or 4 heralds, that would be at 4 heralds 12% more damage. But this would be scaled by buff effect. So for example, if we spec into this node for increased effect of herald buffs on us, as well as this node for again increased effect of herald buffs, we will go from 3% more damage per herald to almost 6% more damage. So at 4 heralds, that would be then 24% more damage. Another good thing about the Herald of the Hive skill is that it pulses around us. So I can show that off real quick. It'll look like this. These pulses get faster and faster once we hit enemies, and these pulses can apply Corrupting Fever debuffs as well. And since they can stack up to 10, this would just mean that we get our stacks onto enemies faster and kill them even faster. So, just a positive. Yeah, apart from these changes, you can see it in here already. I bought the base already. We want to get a focused amulet with flat to maximum life, with +2 to level of physical skill gems, and then finally with increased effect of ailments on enemies. This is especially important for shock, so that we get more shock effect on enemies, because every 1% shock on an enemy is 1% increased damage taken, and increased damage taken is basically 1% more damage. So yeah, I still need to craft this. I would, for all of the things I still need to craft, so for the chest piece, for the shield I want to make, for the amulet, and also for the wand I want to craft, I will probably make a crafting video, because these items are rather easy to make, so the steps themselves are sometimes tedious, but in general easy. So I just want to show what that would look like. Yeah, for the wand I want to craft, we want to have the Phys multi that I fractured on there already, alongside +2 in total to level of skill gems, and then some crafted modifiers on there again. And we use the Profane wand as a cast speed base, and we also want to get more cast speed, because this build can later on use Frostblink of Wintry Blast to blink around, Frostblink around, and Frostblink has an AoE, which can again also apply Corrupting Fever, so this basically makes the Autobombing just faster, again, our movement faster. And then finally the last upgrade will probably be, or not last, but then another big upgrade would be a Mage Blood on here. So yeah, we'll just see how everything goes. Mage Blood would enable us to do some other things, get more movement speed again. So this would be just a good option. And yeah, once after we have these upgrades ready, I will probably make an update on, and that'll be a quite expensive version. And then, because this ring alone is 50 divines, this amulet base alone is like 45 divines. I think these are actually also really expensive. I got kind of lucky on the fracture, yeah, 47 divines. for the base there. So after getting these crafts, this won't be a 25 divine budget anymore, but it'll more be 225 divines. So yeah, let's see what it'll look like then. Again, I will probably make a video on the crafting, and then afterwards I'll make a video on what the updated version looks like. One last thing that can be a very, very big currency thing is megalomaniacs with this primordial bond on there, because I think these are around 25, 27 divines right now. But what this would allow us to do is get medium cluster jewels with this node on it, put them in there, and again, every single one of these nodes is 140% increased damage, as well as the golem buff effect, which gives us great benefits, because I can maybe just show it a little. We have things like we get chaos res from golems, damage over time multiplier, so chaos golem is more damage with buff effect. We have the normal stone golem for increased defenses, so this scales our energy shield. We have the flame golem for just generic increased damage. Then the carrion golem, I think we have this one basically just to get more golems, for the to get more from the primordial bond. Went over this one already. This one, the some lightning golem right now is, I don't want to say kind of useless. We just get, I mean, we still get some cast speed, which is great for reap, and attack speed, which is good for shield charge. But this will, the effect will be more noticeable later on when we want to frost blink. And then lastly, the summon stone golem of safeguarding. This basically makes it so that 50% of melee damage that we would take is taken from the life of the stone golem instead. And while 15% isn't too much, because we have so much golem buff effect, this is actually 75% currently. So yeah, just to show that a little. Alright, I think that's mainly it. Just to kind of summarize, I just want to say this build is very comfy right now. The damage is fine for tier 16 maps, a little bit too low for tier 17 maps, and but it can get scaled a lot. So I think like end game it could get to 50 million DPS, much lower than the accuracy stacking build from before, but what we gain is the confidence level of auto bombing around, and so far it feels quite tanky. And we are only at like 5k energy shield with the other gear. I hope this will be around 10k energy shield. Sadly, we have to scale life in order to be able to activate Corrupting Fever, so I need 3700 life just to be able to press this button. But we don't really gain anything from it because we use Coruscating Elixir, which every time this gets pressed sets us to 1. Yeah, so in general we don't sadly gain anything from this life, but we want, because of that, we want more energy shield. Yeah, I think that's it. It's been a fun build to play so far. Again, this is like a 25-30 divine budget, what you've seen here. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them down in the comments. And I just want to mention again, this is Rutu's build, so he has some videos on it as well, but I've always felt like he didn't explain everything in there, so I just wanted to make a short video on it. But I'll also put the link to his, I think, last video down in the video description, as well as his Path of Buildings, because in these he has some notes on how to craft the gear that I basically want to craft as well. Alright, then thank you again for watching till the end and listening to my rambling, and have a great day. Bye bye.